Metroplan welcomes you to the River Rail Airport Phase 2 Study public meeting. Thank you for coming. Please sign in and collect the meeting handouts at the sign-in table. The following topics will be addressed in this video: the purpose and need of the project, a project overview, the Phase 2 study process, a description of the Phase 2 study universe of alternatives, a listing of the screening criteria that will be used to evaluate and compare alternatives, and an overview of the project's next steps. The purpose and need of the River Rail Airport study is to identify and evaluate the feasibility of the extension of streetcar transit service between North Little Rock, and the Little Rock National Airport. We will begin with a brief overview of the River Rail Airport study's project history. Phase 1 of the study was completed in October 2009. Its objective was to evaluate the extension of streetcar service between downtown Little Rock and the Little Rock National Airport. 3 primary streetcar alternatives were evaluated, and a study steering committee provided guidance on the study. The Phase 1 study found that streetcar service to the Little Rock National Airport along each of the alternatives was generally not feasible due to overall cost compared to projected ridership estimates and due to a lack of land use development and redevelopment potential. However, it is still desirable to connect streetcar service to the Little Rock National Airport. Therefore, based on study steering committee input, Alternative 2 and Alternative 3 Option B were eliminated from future study, and Alternative 1 and Alternative 3 Option A were retained for future study. The study steering committee recommended that the Phase 2 study evaluate other viable options for connecting streetcar service to the Little Rock National Airport in stages that will have independent usefulness, exhibit greater redevelopment and ridership potential, and benefit business and residential areas in both Little Rock and North Little Rock. This diagram illustrates the Phase 2 study process. The first step is the development of a universe of alternatives. We are now at the stage of gathering public input on the universe of alternatives. Based on an interlocal agreement between the cities of Little Rock and North Little Rock, the universe of alternatives will consist of streetcar extension alternatives in North Little Rock and streetcar extension alternatives in Little Rock. Therefore, the Phase 2 study area was expanded beyond that of the Phase 1 study area to include North Little Rock. 4 primary streetcar alternatives have been developed as part of the universe of alternatives. Phase 2 alternatives include Alternative 4 Option A and Option B, Alternative 5 and Alternative 6 in North Little Rock, and Alternative 7 Option A and Option B in Little Rock. Alternative 4 Option A or Alternative 4 Option B would be implemented in conjunction with Alternative 5 or Alternative 6 in North Little Rock. Note that Alternatives 1 through 3 were evaluated as part of the Phase 1 study. Alternative 4 consists of 2 options over the Arkansas River. Alternative 4 Option A utilizes the existing River Rail streetcar system, which is a single-track line crossing the Arkansas River via the Main Street Bridge. This alternative would then connect to either Alternatives 5 or 6, continuing northward into North Little Rock. Operational issues could exist with increased service due to capacity limits on the Main Street Bridge. A second option, Alternative 4 Option B, would consist of either a single track or double track on Broadway or 7th Street and the potential use of the existing River Rail streetcar. This alternative would then connect to either Alternatives 5 or 6, continuing northward into North Little Rock along Main Street. This graphic illustrates Alternative 5, which is a double-track streetcar line on Main Street extending from the existing River Rail streetcar loop at 7th Street north to 22nd Street. At 22nd Street, the line changes to a single-track loop along Pershing Boulevard, Willow Street, 22nd Street, and back onto Main Street. This alternative would not continue northward past Pershing Boulevard, but would serve several major destinations, including North Little Rock High School and various religious institutions and community facilities located along and near the route. Similar to Alternative 5, Alternative 6 is also a double-track streetcar line on Main Street beginning at the existing River Rail streetcar loop at 7th Street. However, Alternative 6 continues north of Interstate 40 along John F. Kennedy Boulevard to H Avenue, where the line changes to a single-track loop along Lookout Road encircling the Lake Hill Shopping Center. This alternative would serve various religious institutions and community facilities located along and near the route. Extending the alignment farther north into North Little Rock could potentially attract more ridership. Alternative 7 consists of two options that begin in the Little Rock Central Business District, crossing Interstate 630 and extending to Roosevelt Road. Alternative 7 Option A is a double-track line along Main Street extending from the existing River Rail streetcar line to Roosevelt Road. This alternative could then link to a potential future connection to the Little Rock National Airport or a Phase 1 alternative retained for future study. This alternative would also serve various religious institutions and community facilities located along and near the route. Alternative 7 Option B consists of a single-track couplet along Main Street and Scott Street with southbound service along Main Street and northbound service along Scott Street. This alternative could link to a potential future connection to the Little Rock National Airport or a Phase 1 alternative retained for future study. This alternative would also serve various religious institutions and community facilities located along and near the route. The following is a list of screening criteria that will be used to evaluate and quantify the similarities and differences among the alternatives. 6 categories will be evaluated for each alternative, including mobility, system performance, cost and affordability, environmental impacts, economic development, and implementability and design considerations. Following a Tier 1 screening of the universe of alternatives, up to 2 corridor alternatives will be identified for further evaluation in Tier 2. The results of the Tier 2 screening evaluation and the Phase 2 study recommendations will be presented to the public in an additional public meeting. A Phase 2 study report will also be completed. Your comments are important in the refinement and selection of the future streetcar alternatives. Please complete a survey and comment form. Remember to select your preference for either Alternative 4 Option A or Alternative 4 Option B, either Alternative 5 or Alternative 6, and either Alternative 7 Option A or Alternative 7 Option B. Your comments will be considered as part of the Phase 2 study and public meeting record. This concludes our presentation. Please review the materials available at other public meeting stations. Please provide written comments on the survey and comment form and return completed forms at the comment table. Comments will also be accepted by U.S. mail, email, on the Metroplan website, or verbally at tonight's public meeting. Comments postmarked by April 18, 2011 will become part of the public meeting record. Public meeting material distributed tonight is also available at the Metroplan website, www.metroplan.org. Thank you for your interest in the River Rail Airport Study.